Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Darshan Shah, and I'm here at the Next Health podcast, and we have a very exciting guest. We've been trying to get her on forever. Elissa Goodman has finally joined us, and it's so good to have you. She is the author of Cancer Hacks because she herself is a cancer survivor, and she survived cancer partially through nutrition and making good nutritional choices. So she dove in deep into the science. She has a lot to teach us today. Not only that, but she's also a celebrity chef. Her creations are all over Los Angeles and many restaurants that you might have heard of, many shopping markets like Erewhon, for example. And she gives personalized nutrition advice to many high-end clientele, celebrities, even though you don't want me to call them celebrities, but people that we probably have heard of. So it's so good to have you. Thank you for joining us. We also have, of course, my co-host, Kevin Peek, the president of Next Health, and we have a ton of questions for you. So let's dive right in.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
I'm always honored myself to be on podcasts. So, and also I love what you're doing. So it's right. A double honor to be on the Next Health podcast.
Yeah. You're also, can I mention you're a client of ours
yes,
as well?
I definitely am a client. The whole family is a client, our clients.
That's awesome.
So,
great.
Yes.
Well, I always like to start off these podcasts because we have such interesting people on here. Just a little bit about your story, because it's incredible what brought you to this point in your journey. And I know it's a big story, a lot there. So I'd love for you to just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it is kind of a long story, and I'll make it short. But I really feel like I came into the world when I was born and was younger with a low immune system because I had a low white blood cell count. So I had to get these blood shots every 28 days when I was little. I always got sick consistently throughout my life. I was getting strep and mono a couple times and tonsillitis and earaches. I mean, everything you can imagine. Every time something was going around, a cold or a flu, I got it. I was always chronically fatigued. So physically, I was always behind the 8 ball, which kind of sucked. Yeah. As well as I had these two parents that I were type A. And so they ran circles around me. And as a teenager, I was thinking I should be running circles around them. And they're in my early 20s. But man, they were able to get so much accomplished in a day. And they had so much energy. And here I was dragging. So physically, I didn't feel good. And emotionally, I didn't feel good enough because I couldn't keep up with them. Right. I felt like I was behind the 8 ball and I was never going to be successful. I never was going to have what they had. So I always felt not good enough and sort of insecure in my body and not comfortable in my body, really not loving. Wow, why did I get this body that isn't healthy? And then I did follow in their footsteps and went to New York and worked in the advertising marketing business and for 10 years and was trying to climb the corporate ladder and actually got sick all the time because of New York and the cold. And I moved from Arizona, so I definitely wasn't used to it. And then I met my husband there and we got married and I said, we have to move west. And I always tell this story because he's from Queens and he goes, New Jersey? Like, what? No, New Jersey. I go, no, California. He had never seen the Pacific Ocean. So we did end up moving west. His job opportunity opened up. It just all fell into place. I ended up getting an incredible job with Vogue magazine in LA, moved to LA, 6 months here, got diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. Oh, no. So it was a huge, scary process because I thought, wow, just could life get any worse at that time? And I went to a bunch of doctors, 3 of them to be exact, 2 scared the living daylights out of me. You got to do chemo, radiation. We probably have to freeze your eggs because you haven't had kids yet. And also, do you by chance have a donor? Because we might have to do a bone marrow transplant. And that was before they even staged the cancer. Wow. So, it kind of sucks the way they present it because you're already scared and then you're really scared at this process of what you're going to go through, right? And the 3rd doctor, who was a radiologist oncologist, sat me down and said, that's when it was staged, and it was stage 1. And he goes, let's talk about you. Are you happy? Are you emotionally feeling good about yourself? He was way ahead of his time. It was incredible. And he's like, and I burst into tears. I'm like, I'm so unhappy. I can't keep up. And I have this job that I'm in way over my head with Vogue magazine. It was just it was at the top of the scale of how I was supposed to perform. And I just never felt good. So he's like, I think we can figure this out. Maybe not doing everything they talked about. You'll probably have to do chemo, radiation, but let's deal with your emotions and let's get you into a better place, stronger place. And that was so incredible that he did that. And I did. I went into therapy, and then I actually changed my diet, and I started juicing every day. There was one juice place in LA called Beverly Hills Juice, which is still there today, but there's many more juice places, as we know. And I would go there every day, and I became a vegan, and I did yoga, and I tried to meditate. That was a little tricky in those days. And then I just, went to therapy, and then I also went to acupuncture and naturopath, and I did all the modalities. I love investigating, and I ended up doing half the radiation that my oncologist recommended, no chemo. Oh. So he let me go because he was afraid that what if it comes back and you could sue me if basically you don't do what I recommend.
So he let you go as a patient?
Uh-huh.
He's like, you're not following all the recommendations.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I found an oncologist, radiologist at Cedars, and I did half the radiation, and basically everything turned out okay for me, knock on wood. And then 11 years later, my husband was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Wow. So, and he was 43 and a half. He did 2 bone marrow transplants in a year and a half. The cancer just kept coming back in his blood. It came back in his spinal fluid. He was scared to death, and he did everything they recommended. Didn't really change his diet or any of that. And he passed away at 45 of fungal pneumonia.
Oh, no.
So that's when the story really took hold. Right. I had 2 daughters at home, 10 and 7, and I was thinking, what the hell are we going to do in terms of how am I going to teach these girls that they're not automatically going to get cancer? Right. And that they're just going to be traumatized for a lifetime. Right. So I went back to school and got certified in Eastern and Western nutrition. I learned trauma work, and I just, all about how to calm down the body, the central nervous system, all that stuff. And I've just been working on that ever since.
Wow.
So I also got hypothyroidism Hashimoto's because they radiated my thyroid. So I put myself into remission. I'm getting there into remission for that. It comes and goes, the remission rates, because my dad just passed away, so it kind of popped its ugly head up again.
For sure.
So I did put myself into remission for that, and so I'm always I'm a seeker,
yes,
like you guys,
yes.
and getting to the root and knowing what to do to get to the root.
Right.
What stuff you need to look for.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's like every time life threw you a challenge, you dove into the science and the knowledge and what you needed to know, and you taught yourself so much over the years, and then you took all of that knowledge, it seems, and that's what you put in that book, right? Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yeah, my book, it was really about what my husband and I did right and wrong through the process. And so it's really more of a personal story and journey. And you're right. So the research behind what does cause cancer and, just the typical things that most of us do know, but I think we do need the reminder of. And it's the emotional barriers and the stress and the food, and really just, not knowing what nutrients we are deprived of and not getting the right nutrients, right? Because we don't know what nutrients, and we are deprived. All of us, we're dehydrated, we're deprived in every way. So that we just we didn't have the knowledge that we needed to really work with, I think.
And what would you say are your top 5 points on those topics? If you were just to, give someone, what are the 5 highlights in regards to keeping your body in an optimal state to avoid cancer or any type of chronic disease that would come up in life?
Great question. So I would say my first one, it was stress. Yeah, we really need to tune into.
And first one is that takes the highest priority?
It does.
Okay.
I mean, I think that we come into the world sometimes into an environment that's stressful. Sometimes our family life isn't so loving and nurturing. Hate to say, and we I think we go into a fight or flight mode as a kid, and we're not even really sure that we're there. So we live there. So our adrenaline and cortisol is always pumping. So I think that, to kind of tap into, do I feel safe? And how much stress is happening, and do I create more stress for myself because that's where my safety level is, and I think the second one is probably, do I love myself? All about, like, I think that is so crucial. And most of us that I see, most clients that I see would not say that. The ones that are unhealthy, they're kind of like blown away when I ask them that question. Can you say you love yourself? Like that, that is part of the stress component, because I think if you love yourself, you can de-stress and calm down and take things a little as they come. I think that's huge. And I think trauma is huge. Those points. I think we get traumatized, like up to the age of 7. Our actually subconscious is fully downloaded. So if we had anything that happened in those first 7 years, we carry it with us. And all of us operate like 95% out of our subconscious, 90 to 95%. So I think we're barely conscious, which kind of blows my mind. I didn't realize that till. And then I would say that, I would say the next one would be food, and getting nutrients at a cellular level through your food. And I do that by the juicing. I think that's what really helped me. And now I juice. I'm a consistent juicer, and I do a lot of greens. I do no fruit. I don't do the sugar. But I just try to get nutrients like an IV, like your IVs, food-wise. And, lots of greens, lots of vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals. I either juicing, pureed soups. That's why I created the soup cleanse, because you get to bypass the digestive system and hopefully they go right into the bloodstream. And then like a smoothie with a phenomenal greens powder or spirulina or chlorella or those kind of things. I think that is crucial. And then limiting your inflammatory markers of sugar, dairy, gluten, and animal protein. Too much animal protein. I don't think animal protein's bad, but we overeat it.
Got it.
Right.
Man,
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed with that list, because I've been, I'm on a mission to live to 200. I'm trying to make it there, and I feel like I've been doing the right things, but my emphasis has been so much on food, obviously diet, the services that we do at Next Health, and really trying to, stay in an optimal state by utilizing the best treatments, technologies available in the world right now. But I know stress for sure is one that's been prominent in my life, and you have that as number one. I definitely need to, work on that more, because I feel like I'm addressing so many of those other components. But stress is still such a huge factor in there. And then loving yourself, and really kind of that self-care is another one. That's really one of the last, not that I feel that I have a bad relationship with myself, but definitely not something that I would say I put emphasis on. So it's interesting to see your priority of those.
Yeah, the hierarchy is great, actually, because what you're talking about really is reducing inflammation as much as possible. And as we all know, in the functional medicine world, we know that inflammation is a root cause of all disease, right? Including cancer.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we create this inflammatory lifestyle, and that leads to all sorts of diseases: cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's. It's all from that root cause. And you're giving us your top 5 ways of decreasing the amount of inflammation in your body, which stress is a huge reason we're inflamed. It's huge.
Yeah.
And we leave it off list because it's not something you can necessarily measure, and you just kind of accept that as part of life and you just deal with it, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, stress is part of life. Especially in this country, we're not living in a blue zone in Los Angeles here, right? So, so can you give us?
Road rage is real here.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly. Just traffic.
Right.
Life is stressful. We're all trying to climb the corporate ladder still.
Right.
That's in our brains, and other parts of the world don't think like we do to that degree. Mm-hmm. So we sort of, we're trying to make as much money as possible, have the biggest house, right? Climb the corporate ladder. That really isn't.
So when you talk to your clients, most of your clients, they're pretty powerhouse clients, and they're leading these stressful lives, right? Yeah. What advice do you give them to mitigate that and still be able to do the things that they're doing?
Yeah, that is hard to, meld those two together, because it's as you guys know, it's like you were saying, it's a consistent kind of daily practice of trying to tune in, and of course, thank God for meditation and sort of mindfulness has become at the forefront of a lot of this stuff, and it's exploded in the wellness space. So there's so many great apps, and there's so many great, you don't have to like sit in a, cross-legged position and, chant or like pray for 30 or minutes to an hour, but like even 5 minutes just to calm down the brain, listening to a meditation or those, biowaves and the brain biowaves. I mean, they're like incredible for certain people and like just calming the whole system, the central nervous system down. So really it's probably, finding some practice that really works. And also right now I know that big gratitude, trying to write down, it sounds so simplistic, like the 5 things or things that every day, something that you're grateful for so that your mind gets into that more instead of like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't do this, or I forgot about this, or instead of like, wow, I'm so grateful that I'm here and I get to do what I do. And yes, it is stressful, but I am grateful that and really trying to see what you're doing that's like your job and your stress. Is it making you happy? Is it your purpose and your passion? And I know that's a tricky one because most people would say no, which is sad. So, I mean, and then to make a change is a huge thing, right? So, or to find some purpose and passion in what you do in that regard. But I think that, if your body gets the nutrients that it needs and your cells are working and you're also, your cells are happy and getting, mitochondria is getting what they need and producing energy, then I think, it also does kind of help outweigh some of those stress factors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And can we talk a little bit about diet? Because
Yes.
I'm actually going through a 5-day fast right now. It's the first time I've ever done a fast past 24 hours.
It is?
Yeah, and I'm actually on day 5.
I'm impressed.
As we speak. I'm impressed too. I didn't think I could do it because I love eating. I don't like being hungry.
Yeah.
But I'm doing a fasting mimicking diet, the prolonged diet, and it's been a really interesting experience for me. The day 2 was the worst. It was really difficult.
That's
day
what
2.
everyone says.
Right.
Yeah.
And then day 3 was pretty rough also. But day 4 and 5 have been great. I mean, I've had today, I'm not even thinking about food.
Wow.
And I thought that don't get me wrong, like I'm excited to be over it, but I'm not, I'm not craving food right now. And I feel like it's not hindering my performance, which for me has been the main reason I've never done a fast up until this point, is I don't want to have the downtime. It's like if I'm starving, I'm not going to be able to perform. I'm not going to be able to, serve, Next Health and the business and everything else that I have to do on a daily basis. But I'm really surprised to see that hasn't really impacted me. But I'd just love to hear your thoughts on that. I mean, this journey of, number one, how someone's making it through a fast, but then also the real benefits of what's going on internally.
What made you decide to do it?
I've been wanting to, and actually you were part of that reason when you came in and did the talk. You did our forefront talk. I was really inspired by your story.
I mentioned it.
You've talked about fasting. You didn't mention prolonged specifically, but you talked about fasting. And then also another, you talked about juicing a lot. And actually since your talk, I've been juicing a tremendous amount. Every single day, every morning, I've been starting the day with a juice, and I've been feeling incredible. Yeah, we just juice it at the house.
Right.
And it's really made a huge difference. I've had a noticeable increase in energy. I feel like my skin is clearer, and I just feel cleaner. Your
skin looks like vibrant and radiant.
Oh, thank
you.
Good.
You look beautiful.
So I just wanted to try it out. I've been wanting to fast, and I really am very interested in longevity. And I'm a firm believer in the science of fasting, whereas what it's going to do for autophagy and just the body over time. So that's ultimately why I wanted to do it.
And that's what I love about it. The killing off the bad cells, starving those bad cells and helping the good cells be able to replicate, duplicate. I think that's brilliant. If that science is correct, which it is, in terms of Dr. Longo, I think he's done a brilliant job at, being able to go there and put together something just for 5 days, or he says do 15 days in the year, right?
Right.
So to maybe mitigate health issues or autoimmune or even cancer. I mean, I know they're coming out with some research in the fall about cancer where people have done the prolonged before they do chemo, and chemo is having such better results for those people.
Wow.
And also the remission rates have been higher.
Amazing.
So, so that blew my mind. So I really love, and I recommend that to clients. I love that whole idea of it. If they do Prolong, and then they could go into my soup cleanse, which is just real healthy eating. I need to get you on that.
Great. Yeah.
Both of you guys.
To try it.
Right.
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
it's just like teaching you how to just get nutrient dense food. And it's very anti-inflammatory, but I think, that Prolong is great. I think what he's doing. I just don't love the whole powdered.
Right.
It's like astronaut food, and I'm a foodie. So I've been like incredibly intimidated to do it because I just like to pour powder into hot water for a soup.
Yeah.
Right.
When I make my own soups fresh, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. And so everyone understands what that is they give you kind of a 5-day plan, and every day you have basically a little bit of powder that you can mix with water to have kind of a soup consistency of something to take in.
Yeah.
And it curbs the hunger pangs. So you don't feel, you're kind of tricking your mind into thinking you're eating something, but you're actually not.
Right.
So you're still getting the full benefits of the cleanse. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I don't necessarily love eating powder, but it's been good. I mean, at least when you're starving, it's not. It's
You
not
don't even
I'm
mind.
very grateful to have it, and I think that that's probably part of the reason that I don't feel so hungry is because of that.
Yeah.
And it seems like it is such an incredible way of making a fast more attainable to most people, because the average person is not going to be able to do a pure fast of not taking any substance in for 5 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you like the bars? Do you like, what do you like on it?
The bars are good.
The bars are good.
Yeah, you get like 1 bar a day,
Yeah.
and then you get 2 little powder packs a day.
Right.
So again, when you're starving, everything is delicious.
Right.
So it's
Absolutely.
good. I mean, I'm excited for real food.
Yeah.
But I'm just happy that I went through this process of doing it. And again, I'm just surprised at how good I feel through the process.
I've been surprised too at clients who've done it, and my daughter did it, and I watched her at the end, and I was like, wow. Even her emotional well-being, like she just seemed so much calmer. Something like clicked in the brain as well as the body. I mean, the body was like, she felt great body-wise, but there was something about her whole.
Interesting.
I know. It'll be interesting to see.
Well, it's like a reset
do you feel
button.
that?
I mean, I do. I definitely feel more open. I feel, in a strange way, a little bit more in tune with my body. Like I'm more sensitive to everything that I'm feeling, which I'm sure that would in turn make me more, in tune with others around me.
That's exactly what I felt from her.
Yeah. Interesting.
And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
So
I mean,
once,
it's a
That's the
reset for
ultimate.
your brain cells too, right?
Yeah.
It's a reset
Right.
for all of your cells.
Yes.
So you're killing off the cells in your brain too that are not functional, not working well.
Right.
And with fasting, you're resetting all the cells in your
Absolutely.
body.
Right.
And giving your mitochondria the stress they need to give you that energy more naturally as well. So when your brain has more active mitochondria, you're going to have better emotional status, better ability to deal with stress and other factors that your brain goes through on a day-to-day basis. So
Right.
it's
I think
amazing.
it's kind of brilliant.
and I think it's
Yeah.
great. You're, giving your digestive tract and all your organs a break for a period of time.
Right.
They're working pretty much 24/7 for your entire life.
Right. Absolutely. I'm a big fan of also intermittent fasting.
Right, yeah.
Right. I
To
do
give
intermittent
that break.
fasting like pretty much
Every day?
3-4 times a week at least. Yes, mostly every day. Some weeks. Fasting has been in humanity for years,
Right.
For centuries. The Indians and the Eastern Asians, all of them have practiced fasting in one form or another as part of religion, because obviously there's something to it,
Yes,
right? And
yes.
you studied
Yes.
Eastern medicine
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
and it's part of just they make it a religious experience, but I think there's a lot of health around it that's obtained as well.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Yep. They know. They tap, you're tapping into your instincts more.
Right.
When you do the fasting, you're more in tune
Right.
with the things that, you're getting back in tune with your body. You're getting back in your body.
Right.
And you're kind of finding out what are the things that I really need to fuel me.
Exactly.
And satisfy me. I think that that's a huge thing these days with health.
Yeah.
We just don't know what we really, we eat things that aren't good for us, and we know they aren't good for us, but we just don't stop to even get in tune with,
Yeah.
did that meal feel good? Did what I put in that juice, did it work for me? The whole, now it's the celery juice craze has become this big thing.
It's a big
Right.
thing now.
Yeah. And everyone's
How do you feel about that?
it's been fascinating because I did work with a medical medium for about couple years actually. I was a part of his practitioner group.
Wow.
Because I was just interested in what he was doing. He was fascinating before he wrote a lot of his books. And there was so much to what he had to say that seemed logical about, like, lowering viral loads and pathogen and toxins in the body, which was super crucial, and detoxing the organs and the tissues. I do love all that, and that just seems like it naturally would work.
Makes sense.
Yes, totally. I don't know. I'm glad the celery thing I'm mixed on. I don't see a lot of benefits. I see benefits with acid reflux and GERD people, a little bit with like psoriasis and skin stuff. Other than that, I haven't really seen, for people with hardcore health issues.
Right.
And they also say I haven't noticed a difference. Like, I don't know, like, I don't feel any different.
Sure.
But they've just been told that they need to do that.
Right.
I think it's pretty amazing that he's gotten kind of the world or the country to actually think about juicing.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? I guess
That's
Absolutely.
one step in the right direction,
Yeah.
right? You were talking, I have a big question for you. So, you said nutrient density a lot, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, our food supply is just so devoid of nutrients. And I always have this conversation with people. Like, I give a lot of talks, and there's always someone in the audience that raises their hand and they're like, what? I thought vitamins were disproven as being necessary in any way. Like, you don't need to supplement your vitamins. You'll get them somehow. And my response to them is, you have no idea how nutrient depleted our food is. Like, if you measure the amount of nutrients in a tomato that was grown 100 years ago versus now, it's not even the same piece of, it's not even the same. It's not the same at all. It's a whole different thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm curious as to your thoughts on nutrient density. Like, what got us to this point? And is there any way to reverse this other than, finding a way to supplement it just through supplements? What are your thoughts around that?
That is a great question. I know I get that question a lot
Yeah.
about, because, you're right. The food supply is not giving us the nutrients, and especially not giving us the minerals
Right.
at all. Like, so.
And we need so much more of it now too, like the toxin burden
Yeah.
and our lifestyles. Like, we need more nutrition now than ever before in the history of humanity. That's another problem.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right with the stress and the toxic. You're right. So I am a fan of supplements. I do think we need to get the nutrients supplied through supplements. I just think that, as you probably do too, because you carry really high quality ones at Next Health, that the supplement market is, sort of
Wild,
exploded.
Wild West, yeah.
Yeah. Is
Right.
what.
Completely unregulated
Yeah.
is the
Right.
problem. So
Yeah.
you don't know if you're getting what you're actually supposed to be getting from your supplements.
That's what is hard.
Right.
So I think, just like you guys, when you kind of vet what's good and what's not good out there, there's a small group of ones that are really high quality. And that's what I offer my clients. But I definitely think we need to be supplemented.
Yeah.
Magnesium is one.
Right.
That's kind
Huge.
of must.
Yep.
Yeah. And even B vitamins, because they're water soluble. We burn through them every day. So I think those are huge. I mean, vitamin D, I still think is
Everyone's depleted
Right,
in vitamin D.
right,
Because
right.
we're inside all the time.
Right.
And the iodine, like people, everyone's supposed to be on this low salt diet.
I know.
That was the only place you're getting iodine. And now we have all these thyroid problems.
yeah.
There's a lot. But what
Yes.
about, like, without taking supplements? Like, how do you get people to eat more nutrients dense food? Like, what are your top 3 ways of doing that?
And even if we can't, even if we still need to supplement, but what's
Yeah.
the best chance
Right.
of getting as much as humanly possible? Because we do IVs at Next Health,
Yes.
of course, and they've become increasingly popular, which is great. People know that they need to rely on something outside of just their food source. But of course, as much as we can get naturally, that's the goal. So what is the best chance of success naturally to get as much nutrients into your body?
So the best chance is to try to buy vegetables at the farmers markets. You hope they come from farmers and they're local. And you hope that soil is maybe really high quality. So you never know, right? Even like when they say organic, they might not be organic, or
Right.
that organic farm is next to, a GMO or a pesticide farm.
Right.
So
And that's
it's
even
tricky.
better. That's even better than like a Whole Foods organic, the farmer's
I
market.
think
You
it
think
is.
yeah, okay.
Just instinctually.
Sure, and I agree with you. Yeah.
I think that the stores, a lot of times truck them in from
Right.
places,
Yeah,
and
it's still mass market at the end of the day.
yeah, and you don't know how long they've been sitting in the back or on the shelves, or all of that.
Food transportation is a huge issue. Like,
Yes.
As the farther the food gets away from the person eating it, the person growing
Right.
it, the less nutrient dense it gets.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just been shown
Absolutely.
over and over again.
Yeah.
it's interesting. I always talk about or frozen organic because it gets picked potentially and then frozen right away. So I think that frozen veggies and fruits and some of that stuff is really high quality.
That's a great point.
So that's that. And then the farmers markets. And then, I think just hoping, just the veggie count in my world. Basically, I think like what they recommend is like 4 or 5 cups of fruit and veggies, but I'm a huge fan of like double that.
Yeah.
So I'm just, so I think you need to double all of that to get the nutrients. I think it's so crucial that you're getting way more than what the USDA or RDA is recommending.
And can we talk about juicing a little bit more? Because obviously if you're getting that much in, you're doing it primarily through juicing, at least a big portion of it.
True.
What is, with me now recently juicing a lot, I'm on this kick and I'd like to figure this out. What challenge that I have with it, it's so hard to juice greens, at least leafy greens. When you say you're getting so many vegetable, juices and primarily all vegetables, I mean, other than cucumbers and celery, you don't get much out of the other greens out there. So what do you do? Or do you have a different technique or a different juicer that you use?
No, that's a really good question because you're right. You juice a whole head of parsley.
And you get 2 drops.
2 drops. I know. So I juice the whole head of parsley and get the little bit of parsley. I think that little bit of parsley is pretty powerful in itself. And I juice a whole head of romaine. Romaine does have a lot of nutrients and it also has a big water content.
Okay.
My juices are really simple in regards to like cucumber, celery, parsley, romaine, lemon, ginger, like that kind of. I never juice beets or carrots because it's a lot of sugar. So I just eat them. And roast them. But so you're right. Like you put in arugula in there or spinach or like not a lot comes out, but you're getting some.
Yeah.
So I think that I just, feel like at least you're getting some of that, which is, I think, pretty powerful. I love dandelion greens. That's one of my faves because it's like a big liver detoxifier. And that a lot does come out with the dandelion greens.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I haven't tried that one yet.
Yeah, I know that. So, I mean, you're right. When you heat source a juice, it's hard rather than cold pressing, and cold pressing is a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
So I just still feel like it's better to like juice and then drink it right away.
Right. Okay.
So that's my.
And do you do anything with the discard? All the the gallons and gallons that's produced from that? Or
I should.
I don't know if as a chef that you have some.
Compost or
we compost as well.
Yeah. And then I should start like throwing it in like freezing it and throwing it into my smoothies or into my soups.
For sure.
Making the stock of a vegetable broth would be amazing.
Right.
Yeah, not to have it go to waste. You're right. There's a lot that goes to waste in that. Because my juicer is pretty it's Breville, it's like $170 on Amazon. It's not it's not a high-tech juicer. So but I think also the juicing and the soups, I mean, making those soups with the veggies, you're getting all the nutrients. Plus the greens powder, like I think a really great high quality greens powder has, like I talked at the beginning, gives you a lot of nutrient value.
What's your favorite green powder?
So there's one right now that I love called Pure Synergy. You ever heard of that brand?
Heard of that one, no.
So it's certified organic. It's a company, it's a supplement line that is certified organic. Most of their stuff is certified organic. It's food-based. I think it might be at Utah or something like that. It's been around for a long time. The greens powder has been formulated by this guy since 1977.
Wow.
And so it has all the vegetables. It has the chlorella, spirulina, the algae, all that. It also has mushroom extracts. It has adaptogen herbs.
What's the name again?
It's called Pure Synergy,
Pure
like super
Synergy.
greens.
Okay, we'll put that in our show notes for people. I want to order some right now on Amazon.
It tastes really good. Like a lot of these green powders, I cannot stand. And then they mask them with funky, like either a really funky citric lemon or even too much stevia.
Right.
So I think that is a great, those greens powders are also pretty powerful if you're wanting to get nutrients.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Could you tell us about the soup side of your business? So I know you deliver soups all over Los Angeles, right?
Yes.
And what's the magic ingredient? Like what
this.
well, yeah, tell us
What
all
is
about
a
the
soup
soups.
cleanse?
Right.
It actually stands for S is for soups and salads, O is for organic, U is for unique, and P is for prepared with love. So it really is about trying to nurture you and give you home cooked food. Because we all know when we were growing up and our parents did cook for us, or if now your wives cook for you. I don't know if you're married. Sorry, but
No, not yet.
Okay, your girlfriend. But it tastes better, than ordering in, and it just tastes great. So you just feel the love put into it. So that's what we try to do, and it consists of a tonic in the morning with coconut kefir, aloe vera, lemon, ginger, apple cider vinegar, and a liquid probiotic. And then you move into like either a vegan broth with a collagen powder. I love the bovine collagen powders these days because of the amino acids in there
Yep.
that, and especially in the bovine one, the amino acids that do create glutathione.
Okay.
Like they're powerful. They also help heal the gut lining.
Yeah, they
so that's I use the vegan. We make a vegan broth. We were making chicken, but I was getting really like a little bit disgusted with the chicken feet. That was getting a little because that's where the collagen is. It was like
Right.
so we do that, and then we make a homemade super seed bar, and then they have a salad 3 times a week with 2 dressings. In the afternoon, it's fermented veggies. And then at night, there are different soups all through the week. And then Tuesday and Thursday, there's a soup for lunch. So we mix them up with chunky and pureed. And then at night, they get a cacao latte, which is, it has yin powder from Sun Potion, which is pretty incredible. All these adaptogens and gynostemma tea, and then a turmeric latte.
Wow.
So, and then we give them digestive enzymes, hemp seeds, and pumpkin seeds. So we
Nice.
deliver twice a week. Fresh.
Wow.
Okay, so now I'm hungry.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I knew you'd probably,
Well, you
you'd
should
be.
do the soup after
Yes.
the soup
Right.
cleanse after this.
Yeah.
After the
I should.
prolong. Absolutely.
That's
It's
a
like a
great combo.
beautiful,
Yeah. Yeah.
give you great 10 days of, resetting.
Yeah.
People change in 5 days on this cleanse, just like the prolong. I mean, you can reset your body in 10 days when you take sugar, gluten, dairy, processed,
Absolutely.
right?
Right.
So they are sleeping better, their skin's better, their energy's better. Some people are eating more than they normally do because it sounds like a lot of food, right? That would sound like, and they're losing weight and they're sort of like surprised because they're like, I thought I kind of had to cut back on food to be able to lose the weight. So it's like, I love being able to teach them that. You do
Right.
not. You just
don't.
need to eat the real stuff.
Right. Real food, healthy fuel for your body. I mean, it blows my mind thinking about my childhood and growing up, what I actually used to eat. And now I look at most things I'm in the grocery store and 90% of what's in there, I don't think is actually food. Like it's not real. Like I'm looking at Cheetos and cereal and all of this other stuff. And it's like this made up stuff. The only thing that's real for the most part is on the parameters. You got your milk and you got your greens and you got your meat, and that's like actually from nature.
Yep.
And it's unbelievable how much we consume of this processed, manufactured, food that's been given to us since we were kids. And then we have this emotional attachments to these foods as well.
Fruit
Yeah.
Loops.
Right.
And cereals
yeah.
and all the stuff that was invented by the food industry. Like
Yeah.
there was no milk and cereal in the morning before the food industry came in and
Right.
made this whole thing up, right?
Oh.
It's the entire middle of the supermarket, like you were saying. Like
Yeah.
how much real estate could we save if there was no processed food industry, right?
Or fast food or, I know. It's just, it is crazy because, it shouldn't be hard to eat healthy. Like I know it is for a lot of people, but it is about the basics. It's about going back to the roots of, eating real food or what our ancestors did. And all, so that's, the process. Remember in the days of the sugar-free, fat-free
Oh, yeah.
days? I
Yeah.
mean,
Right.
I think that's really attributed, and you probably do too, to like all the brain issues that are going on,
Hugely.
right?
Yes.
So, all those chemicals,
Oh yeah.
and all the like the sweeteners, like that
Crazy.
are
Tons
so
of chemicals and
the chemicals.
I mean, there's a huge unfortunate rise in brain disease in children, like autism and things like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that might have some relationship to do with the low fat diet craze that over the last 50 years, where kids were not getting fat in their diet and in their milk or their dairy or whatever they were getting. And your brain needs fat to grow. Your brain is mostly fat.
Right.
And so that, just taking that out of the diet for adults so they don't get heart attacks, which was all misguided science to begin with, translated into brain development issues in children as well. That's a theory out there right now.
Yeah.
So I totally, it's a big problem.
Even what your mom ate, right? It kind of is passed down ancestrally. It's like, I have a question. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I have a question for you. Then you would tell me your question. So, how do you get around the problem now that people just don't cook anymore? People are totally like, you either go to a restaurant, eat something processed and fast, or you put something in the microwave real quick. And I think that's a core of the issue. People don't know how to combine 5 ingredients to make something to eat at home anymore. And they just completely cut it out of their life, both financially, because it does cost more to cook, and also time-wise. People just don't want to dedicate the time to shopping and then standing in front of the stove and making something and waiting for it to cook. Like, people have cut food the way it's supposed to be eaten out of their lives because they don't shop and they don't cook. So what do you tell your clients?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
You're
absolutely 100% right, because, they don't have the time, they don't have the energy, they don't have the brain power these days, but I just, I try to tell them that it is about, you do have to cook. You have to learn how to do the basics of some of it. There are food delivery services that kind of like tell you exactly what to cook and what the meal is going to be.
I love those. I did those for a while. Yeah.
Right. For people that are young and that don't have the time, but, or it's really about like supplementing with something that, knowing what you're deprived in, or it's like, could you just add in a green juice or a great smoothie into your day just so you get something that's nutrient dense or nutritious? Slowly trying to get them to incorporate something like that sometimes is a struggle. You're right. And then, when they do the S.O.U.P cleanse or they do some of these food programs, or, they do see what it could feel like to actually have this food and eat like this. And so sometimes it does spark some interest into like, wow, I could maybe do this. I have a 7-day online reset program that is massively easy. It's like simple recipes. The soups might take 15, 20 minutes at most. The salads, you can prepare, you can have everything prepared for the week, like, in glass Pyrex dishes like quinoa or lentils and chickpeas and, just roasted vegetables and like a side of salad greens, and make a dressing in like 5-10 minutes. Have seeds, and hemp seeds are the, certain healthy things, avocado, of course. And then you just have them all lined up in the fridge, and then you just throw them into a bowl when you get home. So I try to like maybe help them, guide them that way as well.
Right.
And then if they go out too, just to tell them what to eat, but healthier. But
what you said,
this
is online? Is this on your website?
Yeah, it's on the website. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, you can download it.
We'll put a link to that also to our podcast. That's
Thank
great.
you. Thank you.
So
my question is, you guys, is what I'm like seeing recently very fascinating, which I just learned about, just genetic coding and the MTHFR, and that also there's a gene like that half the population can't produce glutathione. Right?
They have decreased production of glutathione.
Of glutathione. So I am absolutely fascinated with, you guys do genetic testing, right?
do.
So you can detect that.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So we do different types of genetic testing, but the one that ties mostly into diet is we have a genetic test that ties into what kind of diet is going to be the best for you, just encoded based on your ancestry, but also genetic factors such as MTHFR, glutathione issues, vitamin D issues. So we can tell genetically, and MTHFR is a big one, because if you're taking folate, you're not taking methylated folate, you're not utilizing the folate. So we need to know those things before we give you a supplement in your regime, that's not going to work for you, right?
Yeah.
And so we do have a genetic test that measures about 50 different genetic factors that will give you all of this data, and it's like transformative. So,
Yeah.
I think you talk a lot about personalizing diets
Yeah.
to people, and I think genetic testing is a huge part of personalizing your diet, because
Right.
without that information, and the science is there, we know these are issues, and people are fighting an uphill battle sometimes without knowing genetically what direction they need to move in. So
Yeah.
we do test for that. I think it's a great test. I think you've had that test done.
No,
right?
I
not yet?
would. I need to.
Okay, well, let's do it.
I like that part of the equation has not been a major part of what I do, and now I'm like, whoa, that needs to be like that's super crucial. That's why I'm fascinated with it and like getting that information. I know the MTHFR, more doctors are testing for it. I just didn't know how much they were testing for the glutathione, because that's a major detoxifier and cleanser. And I'm always talking about cleansing and detoxing the body, but if you have a decreased production in the glutathione, it's going to be hard for you.
Right.
You're going to have more opportunity to be sick.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. That's where, we do IV glutathione shots at Next Health, because a lot of people are very deficient in glutathione, especially if you've been traveling.
Yeah.
It's you created deficiencies, so we do treat that as well. When I talk about diet personalization, genetic testing is one part. I also talk about, knowing your glycemic response to certain foods, because glycemic index is a huge factor in insulin production, and we know the glycemic index on average for certain foods, but you probably know this. Those numbers came from a study of like 50 people and averaging out their numbers. And if you look at those 50 people individually, they all have different reactions to different foods. So you should kind of know in yourself, like, does carrots cause a huge glycemic response? Does beets, like what is really causing the bad glycemic response? And then thirdly is food sensitivities. I think that's a huge factor that a lot of people don't talk about. I mean, we know most of the population has a sensitivity to gluten and dairies, and so you're probably going to do the right thing if you eliminate those, especially if you're not feeling good.
Right.
But if you can test for the specific ones, you're going to get a huge leg up in eliminating those from your diets, allowing your gut to heal. And you did that as well, right?
I've done that in the past, a year ago, and it was fascinating, because some of the sensitivities that came up, that were foods that I eat a lot of.
You crave the foods you're sensitive to sometimes, right?
And it was like spirulina chlorella.
Oh, no.
Because I've been eating that or drinking that and for 10 years. So that came up, seaweed.
It just means your
certain
gut
things.
needs a break too, though, because your food sensitivities will change over time. So maybe doing it on a yearly basis is a good idea.
Yeah.
You might not be sensitive to it anymore.
I hope not, because I went back on it. But
I mean, that's
think,
one of the tests for us at Next Health that's been life-changing for
Really?
our customers.
Right.
Probably one as surprising for me.
Yeah.
But one of the most impactful tests that we offer. I mean, we've had so many clients. I mean, one in particular I'm thinking of now is a guy who is, going through health challenges, and he's been on testosterone for a long time, and he's, he works out hard, he does all the right things, and he's been on a journey long before he met Next Health. He came in, he got a food sensitivity test, he found out a bunch of foods that he was sensitive to, he took them out of his diet, and this guy transformed in front of our eyes. Literally, his weight, he lost like 20 pounds. He would already work out all the time, but he had a ton of inflammation. So he was like, he had muscle, but he was swollen feeling all the time. He was always sweating. He lost a tremendous amount of weight, his muscle definition instantly, and then he even told me, he's like, I've been on testosterone for, I forget how many years. I'm ready to scale back. And he's already scaled back like 90% of the amount that he was taking. Wow. And he's like, I'm ready to stop altogether because I don't feel that I need it.
Yeah.
My energy levels, everything about my body feels so much better. I mean, it's like it brought a tear to my talking to this guy, because he's gone through so much, and it was literally finding foods that he was sensitive to, taking them out of his diet, that were ultimately the key to having a turnaround for him.
Right. No, brilliant. Because in the old days, it was like they'd scratch your back for allergies. It was more that kind of thing. It wasn't like what's happening today.
Right.
It's just like.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like those are food allergies. They're different than food sensitivities.
Right.
So allergies is a different immune pathway, and those are those foods that will give you like a swollen throat.
Right.
But you're sensitive to foods as well, and those are the foods that are causing chronic inflammation inside of your body that lead to, like you talked about earlier in the podcast, all the disease processes. So,
That's true.
And what's so interesting about food sensitivities is most of them you really shouldn't be sensitive to. Like the allergies because you have an anaphylactic response or
True.
whatever. The sensitivity is because you have gut health issues and there's gut permeability. So we find people all the time. I was one of them. I had a tremendous amount of sensitivities to kale and to all of these things that are healthy foods, eggs that I would eat every single morning, that there's nothing wrong with those foods. But I have gut permeability, so particles are traveling through the gut lining, getting into the bloodstream, and no food particles should be in the bloodstream.
Right.
So then that causes a response internally that could be migraines, fatigue, inflammation, all of these factors that people think are normal, but they're not. They're a reaction to these food particles.
Right. No, I know. That's a big thing these days.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think what is crucial is a lot of my clients, I try to send them somewhere where they can get to these tests done, a functional integrative, you guys, someplace where they can find out this info, because people are going from doctor to doctor and not knowing what's wrong with them. And these doctors are reading blood tests and saying everything looks great, even though your vitamin D is at 50, that's perfect. Or certain things, and you're like, well, you still don't feel good. I mean, So what are we going to do about that? And they really don't know, the next step of what to do about it.
Yeah, unfortunately, traditional medicine is all about diagnosing disease, right? And
Yeah.
and once you diagnose a disease, then you find the right pill. So if you get a migraine, it's not about what's causing inflammation in your body.
Right.
It's how can we treat it with what kind of medication, right?
Right.
So it's really backwards. And the blood tests that most doctors measure are just like the most basic blood tests that we've had around forever to diagnose disease. Most of them don't even measure vitamin D levels because they don't even think it's an issue,
Yeah.
And the other problem with what they test is what they consider normal ranges. So if someone is 50 years old, they're going to say, oh yeah, your testosterone should be 400.
Right.
Well, it's like, yeah, if you want to age and get old and have your body start falling apart, it should be. But what were you at when you were in your 20s and 30s in your optimal state? Why shouldn't your levels be there?
I know.
So you can live
That's
as vitally
fascinating.
as possible,
Yes.
have as much life in your years as possible, but they don't look at it that way. They look at it as, based on the average lifespan. Oh, that, men should live till they're 76. That's the average lifespan. So based on that, you're basically starting to die. So yeah, your levels should be depleting. That's the problem.
And
that
you should be okay with that.
Right, exactly.
It's just
Same with
life.
women.
It's just
That.
aging.
Yeah.
Right,
Women and their hormones. It's like,
even worse
yep,
for women.
it
Women
is.
go through much worse than men do on the hormone front.
Yeah.
It's just people just say to deal with it. And we've had the technology for years and we know how to deal with it. We know how to fix it. But unfortunately, traditional medical establishment is not on that same page.
Right.
So I want to ask you, we have a few
Yes.
more minutes. I want to ask you, you're obviously the model of health, right? I mean, you've done amazing. What is your daily routine? How do you start your day? Kind of what's your day like day to day?
So I start my day when I get up in the morning. I have a mandatory 16 ounces of water. I feel like people don't drink enough water, so I think your body's been cleansing and detoxing through the night, so it's it's ready to excrete all the crap, so to speak. And then I actually have a green juice, so I do that. I try to do some gratitude, like thankful for what I have and what I'm doing, because I am extremely grateful that I get to talk to people and give them hope that they don't have to live the way they're living, and they can anti-age and they can reinvent themselves and be better than they were, even when they were younger, just like you were saying. And then I am a coffee drinker, which I wish I wasn't. I don't know if it's so good for me. So I do have a cup of coffee. I put a collagen powder in it. So, and I have a tablespoon of MCT oil, because it always seems to give my brain this great energy. And then I don't eat until I intermittent fast, but I do have those things. So it's mostly liquids. I don't have food per se. And then I have lunch at 1:00, and it's usually vegan. So it's the salads or soups, or it's I love actually soy. I don't eat it all the time, but I love tempeh and edamame. I think they're great protein sources. Tofu doesn't agree with me, but I do think that, throwing those into the diet 3 to 4 times a week is amazing for someone who's more vegan. And then nighttime is tons of veggies, salad, and sometimes I would say 3 out of the 7 nights it's an animal protein. I love fish. So I do a lot of salmon and trout and whitefish. And also for some reason, I just absolutely love lamb. And every other week I might have some lamb. And but that's really, and then I always have complex carbs for dinner because I feel like they kind of calm me down.
Yeah.
I need definitely calming to help me get ready for bed. And then before bed I do exercise. I do a lot of yoga. I do treadmill. I try to be outside as much as possible. And then I love this Tulsi tea. It's an adaptogen herb tea that I drink a lot throughout the day after my coffee because it actually keeps my hormone levels level, and it also helps with my stress. And then I love this THC CBD tea that's called cocoa. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's from up north, and it's just beautifully packaged, by the way, with herbs in it. And it has CBN, which is for sleep, and it has 10 milligrams of THC. So it really does help my sleep. And so I drink that before I go to bed, or they also have 3 other different kinds that are amazing. I do love the whole synergy of the CBD, THC. I'm not sure about the whole CBD complete line, but I think it does work for some people. And I try to get to bed by 11. I wish it was 10. That would be ultimate for me. And I definitely try to get 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes I got to listen to meditations at night to get my brain calmed down. But I do not go on my phone or my computer after 7 o'clock or try to do 6. I'm a workaholic, so it has caused me problems in the past. It's caused me insomnia, sleep issues, like anxiety, all kinds of things. So,
yeah, you touched on all the big issues: sleep and diet and exercise and nutrition. I've learned so much from this. This is amazing. Thank you for joining us. That was absolutely awesome. Would you mind just real quickly, like running through some of your products that we can find in LA and where we could find them? Because I found that fascinating too.
Okay. S.O.U.P Cleanse is online, and we do it twice a month. Sometimes we do it 3 times in a month, 3 months out of the year. So you can go online and see what weeks we're delivering to people in LA. In about 2 weeks, we will be shipping out our Super Seed Bars direct to consumer. So we're making them homemade and shipping them, so you'll be able to purchase them. There is the 7-day reset cleanse that has all the recipes, a lot of similar stuff from the S.O.U.P Cleanse, really easy stuff to make for people outside of LA. Then my book is on Amazon, Cancer Hacks. And then I have a salad at Cafe Gratitude. It's called I Am Cleansed. And I have a juice at Erewhon that's called Elissa Goodman's Thyroid Cleanse.
Nice.
Amazing. And the website is just elissagoodman.com.
And do you have like an Instagram handle or anything?
I do,
like
Elissa Goodman.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
easy.
It's Twitter.
Easy.
Yeah. I also have a YouTube show where I interview people in the wellness arena because this has exploded, all of this stuff. Rightfully so, and it's been great. But people are kind of wondering, what do I do? Like, who do I go to? What are the people that are good, that really know, that are doing the right thing at a soulful level? So I try to interview people that I feel are really making a difference in the world. So I have this YouTube channel that I interview people. Nice. So once a week I put out a new video.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
This was great. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you for being
we look forward
around.
to doing this again. Yeah, our pleasure.
Thank you.
You too. All right. Thanks, guys.